Hi, my name is Serena Arora. I am an Ayurvedic Health Practitioner and certified yoga therapist, and this is a series of talks that brings Ayurvedic practices to promote optimal health and sustainable healing. And I really look forward to sharing them with you. How is everybody feeling? Doing okay? Good. Okay, today is Pitta Emotion Day. Watch out. Pitta emotions, where they live in the body, and how to flush them out, how we can flush them out with what practices. Okay, so yesterday we framed out Vata, so today Pitta, and maybe if we can get to Kapha today, that would be great too. Pitta, 103. Thank you. 103. No, that's fine. Thank you. Yeah. So the Pitta emotions, okay, let's talk about the Pitta gunas first. Let's do a little recap. Pitta qualities, Pitta gunas. Give me, just popcorn them out. Sharp. Hot. Compact? Opposite, actually. Liquid. Yeah, spreading. Yeah. Light, but like brilliant. Yes, good. Rough? No, rough is a Vata quality. Hard. Yes. Okay. Yeah, definitely hard. Okay, good. So hot, sharp, liquid, oily, and hard. Yeah, so these are the qualities of, think of these words. Okay, so hot, tempered, hot, hot-minded, you're even hot gut. So like everything that's hot inside you. So things that are hot inside you are the acids and the liquids that are burning through things. That's any kind of itis, inflammation, any kind of aggravation to the body, that's a hot quality. Hot in terms of blooded. When you're hot-blooded, what are the emotions that go with hot-blooded? Anger, rage, frustration, irritation. This is like your confrontation emotion. It's like as soon as that is ignited, it's triggered, you're like, rah. And those of us who are more hot-blooded, more pitta than others, that is second nature. It's like our go-to emotion. Some of us who have said, oh, well, I don't really get mad. Definitely there's anger. There's definitely mad, these emotions. And this is the thing with emotions like this. We have often categorized them as good and bad. And we've put labels on emotions. And that is a shame, because emotions, all emotions are useful. All emotions are part of this human experience. And so if we're like, oh, I shouldn't be angry, I can't be mad, I don't get angry, those kinds of things, because of what's associated with it or how it's labeled, can really start to weigh on us, really start to and limit our release of those emotions. Emotions, as we're seeing, must be ingested, digested, assimilated, and eliminated like everything else in our body. People are saying, oh, I am not my emotion, I am not my emotion, I am not my emotion. That's good, that's great. And if you're just simply avoiding the emotion, it's going to go somewhere. And very likely, it's going to go into these organs that we're going to talk about right now. And so if anger, rage, frustration, if I'm saying, oh, I shouldn't, I don't want to be, that's bad, I'm labeling it bad, and that when I'm angry or I'm frustrated, to come out is uncomfortable. Is it uncomfortable for you? Or is it uncomfortable for others? And that's the real question, is like when we're angry, it's uncomfortable for others, potentially. And that's what limits our expression of it. So anger and rage goes into the liver. It stays in the liver. The liver is a beautiful organ that can handle heat. It can handle the heat. That's why the hot emotions stay there. It's also our largest filtering organ. A liver organ is like, it's big, and it's bigger than some organs, and it's very good at filtering. It's like one of our number one filtering organs. So filtering this heat and this anger and this rage is very useful if our liver is working at its optimal stage, its optimal level. The problem is sometimes that the liver works overtime, and the liver works a lot. So if the liver is our primary filtering organ, it's filtering ama, undigested morbid waste, toxic waste, in so many ways. It's filtering food, it's filtering liquids, specifically alcohol, it's filtering ink from your tattoos, because it's constantly ingesting, and you're constantly trying to filter that out, the toxicity, the ama, toxicity out. It's constantly filtering your experiences, and mostly your horrific experiences, your, like, the shock, a lot of experiences, fear and shame, yes, but like also like the really surprising ones, the ones where you're like, it's like horrifying. Oh, I was mortified. Or the toxic relationship that you're in, relationships, shall I say. So if you're in a toxic relationship, quote unquote, your liver is constantly filtering out those emotions, that experience. And if you're not sleeping at night and resting your liver has less and less a chance to actually filter what it needs to filter. And so what's left is the residue of those emotions and the heat that did not get expended. It did not eliminate. And so we want to really consider what we're putting in our body, what we're putting in our mind, like watching horror movies or watching usually like gory movies, gory, blood, killing, violent, like a lot of violence and goriness. That is a pitta emotion that stays in the liver. So people who are into that, who like watch that, that's actually held. That's something that you hold on to. Do you notice how maybe later on, maybe a couple days, you're still thinking about that scene in the movie, potentially? Because it was just so, it just penetrated. That's another word, penetrating. Pitta is very penetrating. So it's penetrating. And it stays in you unless you're able to filter that out. So, noticing and pittas take life in through their eyes. So watching things, like taking in movies and those kinds of things, that's what, considered as kids. That's why movies are rated the way they're rated. It's like, okay, it's R-rated or it's PG-13 rated or whatever it's rated, because those images tend to have an impact, and they're penetrating, a penetrating impact. So liver is on the right side of your torso, ultimately, and anger, rage, but also like desire and passion and the want, like the grip of wanting. I want it, that desire, like at all costs. Some people are like, they're so focused and they won't stop until they get something, very like obsessive over something. That can be a pitta emotion, obsession. So what to do? Squeeze and soak it, sure. Okay, so we can squeeze and squeeze. So to squeeze the liver, it's considered side body. So today we did one of the poses, which was side angle stretch, right? Side angle pose. So that's a great one for squeezing side body, squeezing liver on one side, and then we'll get to the other side on the other side. So liver, right side. Another way is to stretch it so that it opens. You open it to, you give it space, because ultimately rage, if you think of rage and anger, it's kind of a tight emotion. And so if you start to give it space to breathe, you know, when you're getting angry, it's like, okay, take a breath. That's literally what we say, tell people. It's like, okay, calm down, take a breath. And so literally you're giving your liver a chance to take a breath. Literally giving it breath, prana. And you're opening it to cool off. You want to chill out. And that is the idea. Chill out in so many ways. Chill it out by giving it space and letting the heat dissipate. Chill out by chilling out your mind, taking breath. The cooling practices, even just cooling breath in, or you could even breathe in through your mouth. Or you could just exhale with a sigh, with an open mouth, and you just let out heat. You know, letting out heat, a sigh. That's a great way to just chill out. What are some ways that we chill out that reinforce this loop, this anger loop? What are some ways that people chill out? Numb out, chill out.
Drinking.
Yeah, I need a drink just to chill out. But do you see how it reinforces the liver loop? And so it's like, it seems like it would be a good idea because it feels relaxing at the time, but it's actually reinforcing. Like increases like. It's hot and it's heat and it's creating, not only is it hot, alcohol is hot or heating, but it's creating more work for your liver. And so it's like you're actually having to do more work to release the heat. So you're perpetuating that. What else do we do to chill out?
Drugs, I guess.
Yeah. Yep. Drugs and alcohol. And so then that is ama, producing toxic morbid waste. And that's some more. That's more that your liver has to do. So it's reinforcing it. So what we could do is how to bring this anger, rage, and funnel it, target it into something. So maybe you are a kickboxer. You go to kickboxing class, and right? You channel that rage, that anger into something quite productive, but you're moving and you're allowing that heat to be released through sweat. Okay, so you're cooling yourself out, you're chilling yourself out. That's a great way. I'm going to go for a run, potentially, pittas. If you're a vata and you're angry, I don't suggest running. Vatas actually should not run. Okay, it's not great for you. Not jog either. Too much vata. Vata increasing. It's too much movement. So like more like low impact aerobic exercises is better for vatas. Okay, so rage, you could like, punch a punching bag, punch a pillow, scream in the ocean, water, right? Cooling off. So things that will actually bring in the opposite to bring in balance rather than reinforcing the heat and the liver loop. So trying to find the outlets that will channel the rage, channel the heat, channel the anger. That is a really productive way to release some of the heat. What are the poses that release heat out of your liver? I just did side angle. Wild thing. Lunge twist. Okay. Yeah. Kind of. But twisting actually contains heat. So when you're twisting, you're actually bringing heat in and you're like creating friction in the organs and squeezing so that you keep the heat in, especially if you're doing Ujjayi breath during a practice. So it's like, and then you hold and you twist and you hold your bandhas. That actually holds the heat in. So twisting, not so much. But I get what you're saying with the opening. If it's an open twist, that's different. That's good. You can take that open. Like, you know how if you're pregnant, you don't want to twist this way, you twist the other way. That's the same idea. So you're like letting out the heat. Okay.
Does triangle do it?
Yep. Triangle. Great.
Exalt?
Say again?
Exalt? Like
Exalted. Yeah. Exalted warrior. Great. Opening up the side body. What else? And also side body, but also front body too, which is the small intestine, which is the seat of pitta. So camel. It can be, it's like a little bit higher, but that idea, chest, camel's more of a chest opener. So let's think of a more belly opener, torso opener. Yep.
straddle? Straddling? When you're on the...
Straddling.
When you I don't know what it's called.
Oh, wide-legged forward fold? No.
No, when you're like straddling the bolster and you're reaching your arms back and up.
Oh.
Where you have that opening.
Oh, yeah. Virasana. Virasana, like where you sit back. Bridge, wheel. Who said that? Yeah, great. Exactly. So, wow. Really, it's a wide opener, letting out all your heat. At the end of digest in our series, it's like heat, twist, lunge, right? Opening, all of that. And then wheel, that's the end of digest. It's like, wow, the final heat release. Good. All right. So you can add all this on this little, in this little square if you want. Okay, great. Some other things that you can do that aren't poses or that aren't in the sequence necessarily. Well, they are. They are actually. That's not true. So the things that were in the sequence that reduce pitta, fluid motion. Remember we talked about somatic movement? So repetitive, slow repetitive movement. So what are some of the slow repetitive movements in our sequence that are great for pitta because it's just fluid. They don't have to think about anything. They just do it.
Cobra swims?
Cobra swims. Great. Pelvic rocks. Nice. There's a couple more. Windshield wiper knees. Good. And? Cat-cow. Very good. So those are all like somatic movements. They're slow or repetitive movements that like allow us to, the pitta does not have to think. You don't think about anything. You're just moving. You're finding flexibility, some breathability, and some openness in there. Yoga Nidra is a great practice for pittas. It is reducing a lot of heat in your mind. It can restructure, give yourself a different focus. It's excellent. And it of course, creates new neural pathways. So like sometimes the anger, the rage, the frustration comes from this very strong belief pattern that we have etched in our white matter of our brain. So it's like, it shouldn't be this way. It shouldn't be this way. You know, we talked about that yesterday and today. It's like choose what is or like create what's next. It's like the whole thing is like something's wrong here. Something's wrong here. Something's wrong here. And that's the belief pattern that we have etched in our white matter of our brain because we have reinforced it and reinforced it and reinforced it. So now Yoga Nidra creates other neural pathways so that possibility, you know that chart that was, the possibility was on the inside? You're creating new channels of possibility in your white matter of your brain. You're not, it's like a rut. If you have the same belief pattern, and you reinforce it over and over and over again, you're creating deeper and deeper wedges and ruts in the white matter of your brain. And that it's harder to get out. So when you're older, you know, seniors, like when they're really old, they have very strong belief patterns. They're like, nope, this is the way it is. You can't change my mind. This is how it is. Because the white matter of their brain, the neuroplasticity of their brain has gotten harder. So they don't have as much neuroplasticity. So the thought process of thinking outside the box or a different possibility is not there. Unless they've done yoga nidras and they meditate and they, you know, have done worked with these gamma brain waves. throughout their lifetime. That's different. So you can change that. And then you start noticing that the ruts get smaller and smaller and smaller. And then the white matter of your brain starts to fill again. The ruts start to fill, and those grooves aren't as deep. And so you can start thinking differently, different ways. Okay, so that's Yoga Nidra. We explore it in deep, we explore it deeply. You write a Yoga Nidra, you lead Yoga Nidras in the Therapeutic Ayurveda Yoga Specialist Training Program, the 100-hour. So we work a lot with like neuroplasticity of the brain. We talk about trauma. We do trauma-informed work and practices, and it's very therapeutic in our approach. Okay, so we dive a lot deeper into it there. The other side of your body, so side, is your spleen. And a spleen is a holding organ. It holds blood, ultimately. And so not only blood, but the emotion in the spleen is resentment. And it's hard to let go. That is because the nature of the organ is a holding organ. So it's holding on to resentment it's a thing. It's real. And so how can we release some of this resentment? Same thing. Opening, letting go, giving it space, giving us chilling out, giving it time to breathe, giving ourselves time to breathe, thinking about a different possibility. Maybe I don't have to hold a grudge forever. Maybe forgiveness can start to come into play. So you doing these same practices. Half bow, we did it today. Half bow, bridge. And now, so what we're doing is we're putting pressure on on the liver and spleen, or on the small intestine. We're pressing into it onto the earth. And bow, even full bow. So bow is a really good one for pressing your small intestine into the floor. And sometimes you rock, or sometimes people can rock back side to side. Have you ever done that in bow? Rocking side to side, sometimes forward and back. So that creates the extra massage to flush out the small intestine full of its pitta. Okay, good. And then mouth inhales, which are just like, and mouth exhales too. So you're bringing in cool air. So when you're hot, and I'll give you an example, the sweat lodge, for example. The sweat lodge is pitta personified. And that is, it's hot, it's sharp, it's liquid, it's hard. It's a hard place to be in so many ways, and hard in the sense that it's challenging. And it challenges you in so many ways. And so pittas are challengers. Pittas are challenging people. Pitta experiences challenge you. And so if you're a pitta in a pitta experience, it takes all kinds of these practices to stay in this experience. So what would you do? Like, so it's hot in there, it's hot rocks, there's water on the rocks, it's lots of steam, it's dark, pittas take life in through your eyes. So that's why being in a sweat lodge is so difficult for pittas. Everyone else, like Vata, predominantly Vatas, predominantly Kaphas, they have an easier time with sweat lodge and sauna, those kinds of things. So it's dark, pittas they have to see it to believe it. So then all of that challenge comes up. It's like, what's happening? What's going on? And it's not that pittas do feel unsafe. Vatas usually feel unsafe, but pittas, they tend to just be like, they want to know. It's like they want to know, otherwise they're wasting their time, ultimately. Then in this place of liquid and steam, and it's like, oh, okay, I'm steaming hot already, and this is bringing more steam. So how to bring the steam in through your mouth almost. So it's like, how do I pull the steam in? Mouth inhales. And how do I exhale the heat out? Getting low to the ground because heat rises. So that's another practice. you know? Bringing in your sweat, like your saliva, so that you can start to cool yourself off with water. People live in hot countries and they wear, do you think they wear, like the ones who live in really hot countries, they don't wear tank tops and shorts. What do they wear? Pants, long flowing pants, long sleeves. Why? People say, well, it's cultural. It's like environmental. So that they're protected from the sun, first of all, but also so that they have like sweat that comes to the surface and doesn't just evaporate when we're wearing shorts and tank tops. Sweat comes and it evaporates and it's gone. The sweat comes and then the breeze comes in through the flowing clothes because it's open. It's not like, to our skin. And it cools us off. It cools them off. So there's a science behind it. You need water to cool off. You need water and air, to cool off. And so these are the things. It's like, how can I bring water and air together to cool myself off? Okay, so those are the ideas of practicing pitta. Okay. Kapha.
And you're on.
Okay. Okay, so kapha emotions now. So what are the gunas of kapha? Heavy. Dense, yep. Slow. Slimy, I'm going to say. Cloudy. Gross. Smooth. Good. So all of these, these kind of like heavy, dense, slow, smooth, slimy, kind of this quality of heavy, wet blanket, if you will. Okay, so those are those qualities, kapha. So when you think of heavy, wet blanket emotions, what are they? When you call someone, oh, they're such a wet blanket, what are they exhibiting? Like, Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh? Uh-huh. Yeah, Eeyore is like kapha. That's he's like the kapha donkey. Right? Wow. Oh, poor me. Oh, life sucks, right? So it's like these emotions of sadness and like, heaviness. Everything's heavy. There's never really any joy or lightness to something. It's like complaining and that real sad, depressed feeling and emotion. So yes, grief, but it can really be even heavier than that. It can be like, whoa, that was, when you say, whoa, that was heavy. Okay, those emotions, heaviness, those can really build. They can take a toll. So sadness, grief, loss, emotion of like what's the word? Kind of like toxicity. Toxicity is sort of like this toxic behaviors. And so when you actually are in relationship with someone who exhibits toxic behaviors, those are those behaviors that we're talking about in human development. It's like the complaining, the blaming, the victimizing. When I'm the victim, that's a heavy kapha emotion. And so all of that, consider that when you look at those emotions through this lens. It's like you may not be a kapha person, but you might exhibit kapha behavior, and those are toxic. So to remind yourself, that is toxic behavior, and that needs to be ingested, digested, assimilated, and definitely eliminated. And so how to get rid of that? Well, kapha lives in the lungs. So let's breathe it out. Let's cough it out. Let's hork it out. So most the countries we live in do not, some countries, they frown upon horking, right? Spitting. Horking and spitting. It's frowned upon. It's like, ew, gross. Don't do that, You're fined in Singapore if you spit on the ground. It's you're not only fined, but you're shamed for it. Your face is on the front page of the newspaper the next day, and it's like, shame on you for spitting. So, hork it out. This is like if you have mucus in the morning, especially if you notice you have like coughing or like mucus and sinus and congestion, get that out. It's better out than in because it is not doing you any good inside your lungs. And so if you notice you have it, and you may not even be kapha, you notice you just have this toxic you're amagenic, get it out. So hork it out, spit it out, scrape it out, tongue scraping. Get rid of the kapha that is set inside of you, because that just turns into these really heavy emotions that are so hard to burn through, so hard to get rid of. Kapalabhati. That's why the breaths are so sharp. That's why they're forceful, and that you're like, you're not just like, a walk in the park. It's push it out. Only you can do that. And then if it comes, cough it out. If it comes, push it out. If some people want to puke, if you get that feeling of nauseous feeling and puking, do it. There's buckets. We have buckets. It's no problem. And there's actually a purging practice and therapy in Ayurveda. Okay? We call it vamana. Vamana is like to purge, and vamana is throwing up. It's this upward purge. So they actually make you puke, vomit, and it's with salt water. So drinking lots of salt water, it's an actual therapy that if you have deep-seated grief, deep-seated ama and grief and loss that is very heavy, and you cannot burn through it due to whatever your experience was, vamana is the therapy for it, and it's very effective. It's very effective. Okay, so Kapalabhati, breath of fire, Bastrika, spinal flex, okay, pushing it out, or okay, when you have bronchitis, you have those deep bronchial coughs and colds, this is the way to get it out. Breath of joy. So breath of joy is like this. We haven't done it yet in class. Usually we have it. So let's do it. Stand up. Why not? A little more joy in our life wouldn't hurt. So inhale, reach up. Make sure there's room. Spread out. Make sure you have some room on your sides as well. Exhale, arms in T. Open your arms. Make sure you have space. Dan? Yeah. Good. Inhale, reach up. And then exhale, make fists. Yeah, or just let it go. Good. So inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So now look at the letters. I, inhale. T, exhale. Y, exhale. Good. So now we're going to change the breath. So it goes I, inhale. Inhale, T. Inhale, Y. Exhale, ha. I, T, Y, ha. I trust yoga. Ha. I trust yoga. Say it with me. I trust yoga. Ha. I trust yoga. Ha. I trust yoga. I don't hear you. I trust yoga. Ha. Two more. Trust yoga. Ha. Last one. Trust yoga. Ha. Good. Yes. So it's inhale. So it's a sniff. So you're breathing in, ha, let it all out and push it out. Breathe in, ha, push it all out. All right? That is the breath of joy. Do you feel more joyful? Yeah. Good. Excellent. You feel more lighter, maybe? And so letting it go, pushing it out, letting all the when you're in it. And hey, you know, this is like, do these practices. It's like, I need some more joy. Sometimes there's this thing called laughter yoga. I'm sure you've heard of it. Yes? And it's like they actually you force yourself to laugh. It's like, ha, 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 ha. You may not feel like it, but it still releases the endorphins. It still releases the happy hormones, the dopamine and the oxytocin. All of those hormones are released when you actually force that to happen on a physical level. Okay, kapha is also in the heart, so heart openers, chest openers, releasing anything that's heavy in the heart. So that, like you said earlier, Matt, you said camel, and then all the light, balancing, lifted poses like stork and airplane, flying through the air to reduce kapha emotions, feeling like, yes, there's possibility. I can fly, I can lift, I can move up and through these heavy emotions that are weighing me down. I don't have to be so heavy. It's like, okay, so trying these practices, this is the principle, the Ayurvedic principle of opposite brings balance. How's that sound?
That's good.
All right. So that's it.
Thank you.
For now. You're welcome.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.